Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Ute Dash. I am Sammy Mora, and as always, I am joined by the wonderful Cole Bagley. Cole, how are you today?
Doing good. Utah basketball actually really surprised me yesterday, so we're in a good mood today.
We are in a good mood. You know why I'm in a good mood, Cole?
Why?
The Red Rocks. The Red Rocks. Can we just talk about these gymnasts for a hot second? That was by far last night one of the best meets I've seen, and that was the best meet that this team has had up to this point in the season. Okay. And so, for those of you who are not aware, Utah just steamrolled Washington last night, 197-475 to 194-3, which, to put that into like a football or a basketball term, I'll put it in a football term. I think that's winning by like 30 or 40. Like that's a huge victory. To win by almost 4 points, that's insane. That's huge. I love gymnastics. I love the Red Rocks. But this was a huge meet. Miley O'Keefe, she finally did it. She finally got her 10 on beam that she has been chasing since her freshman year last year. She got really, really, really close multiple times last year, and she's been really, really, really close almost every single meet this year. And she finally did it. That's huge. This was only the second. Last night was only the second 10 that had been scored in the country up to this point in the season. At this point last year, do you know how many 10s we had scored, Cole? Or were scored across the country, I mean?
At this point last year?
Yeah.
3.
11.
Oh, okay.
11 had been scored at this point in the season last year. And then now it's 2. I think there was a couple of 10s that came out today. I'm not 100% sure. I think Iowa State scored one. I think Iowa might have 2. I'm not sure. But Miley got the 10. Good for her. And then literally on the next routine on beam, Abby almost scored a 10 as well. Abby scored a 10 last year at UCLA when they really needed it to win. And so Abby got, one judge actually gave her a 10 and the other one didn't. So it evened out to like a 9.95, I think is what it evened out to, which is very good.
Sammy, can you explain like how hard it is to get a 10? Like in like football terms or basketball terms, like how difficult really is it for a gymnast to get a 10?
Getting a 10 is like having a perfect passing game for like a quarterback. You know, sometimes they get really close, but other times it's really hard. But when you're an elite level gymnast like Miley O'Keefe or Abby Polson or Sydney Swalovski, who I'm going to talk about in a second, it's more attainable. And also Utah has the elite level gymnasts that you can be getting these high 9.95, high like possible 10 scores almost on every single routine. So for like a team like Utah, it's not that difficult because you have the elite who have done this for their entire life. But for some other schools, it's kind of a difficult thing. But Sydney, he almost got hurt that she's been chasing for years now. And again, one judge gave her 10, the other one didn't. So the scores even out. So how they do scoring in gymnastics is you have 2 judges and they average out the 2 scores, and that's how you get your score. So Abby or Miley, when she got her 10, obviously both judges agreed that was a 10-0 routine and they gave it to her. Abby, I think one judge gave her a 9.95 and the other gave her a 10, and it averaged out to a 9.975. Same with Sydney. But she is the floor queen. Sydney Swalovski, I love her. She's so talented, and you could tell that she was really having it after that floor routine last night. It was so fun to watch her. I love watching her do her double layout. It is so beautiful to watch. But I think another way to compare like scoring a 10 in gymnastics is to a no-hitter in baseball. It's something that you kind of strive for, and then when you get it, it's like, haha, it's a big deal. But honestly, this is the other thing I wanted to talk about is honestly, I think this Pac-12, this Red Rocks team is I don't see who can contend with them for the Pac-12 this year. That might be a hot take, but I don't think so. I've been watching a lot of gymnastics as of late because it's finally gymnastics season. And the rest of the Pac-12, like whether it be training, not being able to train as much because of COVID or because like the season is still so new, not a lot of teams look good. Washington last year gave Utah a run for their money, and this year they handled them with ease. It was very much like a go in, get the dub, get out situation. And then UCLA, who's usually always really hard on Utah. I'm not They looked a lot better this week, and I want to see how they look next week, but I am also not worried about UCLA anymore. But I think that this team is setting themselves up really, really, really well. And also, I would just like to point out that the 197-425 or 475 that the Red Rocks scored last night was the second highest score in the country up to this point in gymnastics.
Wow.
That's huge. And like considering that the only team that scored above them was Florida, who's ranked number 1, and Utah's ranked number 4. So that means Utah outscored Oklahoma and LSU, who are ranked above us. So don't be surprised if Utah jumps up in the rank on Monday, and also don't be surprised if if Miley O'Keefe is Pac-12 Gymnast of the Week. Like, huge. I also think it's really important to note that like now Utah has enough, even if like the rest of the season was kiboshed, which, knock on wood, let's hope it's not. Utah would have enough scores to qualify for postseason, which, coincidentally enough, one of the regionals is being hosted here in Salt Lake. So that's fun because that's going to be some high quality gymnastics to watch come end of March, beginning of April, which I'm very excited for. But that's my little Red Rocks tangent.
What sets Utah gymnastics apart from the rest of the Pac-12? What about the program? Is it the coaching? Is it the recruiting? You know, what really puts them on this high pedestal?
Well, you know that Utah's one of only like 2 programs that has never missed an NCAA championship. There's been like 40 something NCAA championships, and Utah's never missed one. And you have that legacy of having these stellar gymnasts. You've had Olympians go through this program. Michaela Skinner is one that most people know that's a newer name. Missy Marlowe's another one. You've had all of these huge like gymnasts come through and run this program. 10 national championships, that's tied for the most in the country. So they've set themselves up with this legacy of being really good at gymnastics. And I think it is coaching. Tom Farden does a fantastic job with his staff. Same with Carly Dockendorf and Garrett Griffiths and Courtney McCool-Griffiths. This staff is fantastic. It's a legacy that the Marsdens started, and it's carrying over into like now, the now era of gymnastics. And yes, UCLA is the only other team that can, I think, recruit at the same level Utah can, because UCLA also has quite a few national championships to their name. But ever since Valerie Konos-Field stepped down as their head coach, you've kind of seen, last year was was different because you still had majority of the kids that, you had Kyla Ross, who's just like a boss. She's like an Olympian. She's fantastic. And you had Madison Koshin, who's also an Olympian on that team. And this year, neither one of those girls are on that team. So you're going to see some turnover with gymnasts. Plus, they lost a lot of routines, and Washington did as well. So with gymnastics, when you lose an upwards of 12 routines, that's like losing your entire defense, and you have to rebuild. Or losing 11 out of your 10 starter, or 10 out of your 11 starters on defense. That's what losing like 12 routines is, because that's a big bulk of your line 6 and you get 4 events. So that's like half of your routines are gone. So I think Utah's just they're just a good team. Like, they've established this legacy as being a gymnastics program in the West Coast, and I love it. They're so fun to watch.
And where does a lot of their recruiting come out of?
All over. So we have a couple of girls from the state, but most of them, Adrienne Randall's from California. Same with Jillian Hoffman, Crystal Issa, and Lexi Bircher from Nevada. Cammie Hall's from Virginia. Lucy Stanhope's from England. Sydney Solowski's from Canada. Jaylene Gilstrap's from Texas. Did I say her already? I might have. I'm not sure. Emily LeBlanc is a transfer, but she went to Maryland, but she's from North Carolina. So it's not like football where you get one girl, like you focus it on one area. You try and get the best gymnasts from across the country. Miley's from Vegas as well, from Minnesota. So you kind of just go where the good gymnasts are. That's the thing.
Well, that's awesome that they're able to pull, from so many different places and backgrounds.
And Utah's such a reputable team that it's like, if you get an offer from Utah, you're an elite level gymnast. You know it for a fact. So, but that's my little gymnastics tangent for the day. So shout out to Utah gymnastics. Also shout out to Utah volleyball. We jump over to the second topic. Number 8 volleyball swept Cal today, moving to 4-0 on the season, which is huge for this program. Love that for them.